2 in the morning, wide awake. And your brain is playing the tape again. The joke that landed wrong, the forgotten name. The wave meant for somebody behind you. Right now, somewhere, you are convinced an audience is replaying that moment with you. Here is the uncomfortable question this whole video hangs on. Where exactly is that audience? Because psychologists went looking for it. They measured it. And the number they found changes everything. I want you to picture the last time you walked into a room and felt every single eye lock onto you. Maybe it was a meeting, a classroom, a gym. That prickling heat on the back of your neck felt like proof. Here is what the science says was actually happening in that room. And it is almost insulting. Most of those people were not thinking about you. They were doing exactly what you were doing, thinking about themselves. There is a name for this glitch: the spotlight effect. And you have lived under it your whole life. The deep automatic belief that people notice you, judge you, and remember you far more than they really do. And before you brush this off as a small quirk, look at what it quietly costs you. It is why you did not raise your hand even though you knew the answer. It is why you rehearse a coffee order like a wedding speech, and why the gym feels like a stage. It decides what you wear, what you post, what you ask, and what you never even attempt. Multiply that across a lifetime, and this one glitch has probably shaped your life more than most of your actual decisions. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you the experiment that caught this glitch red-handed, then the wiring fault inside your head that creates it, and why it never feels like a fault from the inside. Then the memory math. What actually happens to your embarrassing moment inside other people's heads after a single day? And then the twist. The reason nobody's watching you is the same reason you cannot stop watching yourself. By the end, you will have 4 tools that use this glitch instead of suffering from it. One warning before we start. Some of this is going to sting because it means admitting nobody was ever really looking. But on the other side of that sting is the closest thing to freedom that psychology has ever measured. So here's the deal. Stay past the experiment because the experiment is not the point. Tomorrow morning is. It starts in a university hallway in the year 2000 with the most embarrassing t-shirt a professor could find. The professor was Thomas Gilovich at Cornell, and he was hunting a feeling every human recognizes but nobody had ever measured. Quick note while we set this up. This video is for understanding minds. Education, not diagnosis, not treatment. If fear of judgment genuinely limits your life, that deserves a professional, not a video. Back to the hallway. Gilovich made students wear a t-shirt with a giant face of Barry Manilow printed across the chest. For a college student in the year 2000, it was the least cool shirt science could design. Then came the trap. Walk into a room of students sitting and working, and stay just long enough to be seen. Afterwards, the researchers asked him one question. What percentage of those people noticed your shirt? The students guessed that about half the room clocked it. Roughly 1 in every 2 people, ridiculing them internally. That was the honest, gut-level prediction. Then the researchers asked the room what it had actually noticed. And the audience the student was so sure of was not there. Fewer than 1 in 4 had registered the shirt at all. The students had overestimated their audience by roughly double, not by a sliver. Double. Maybe embarrassment is special, though. Maybe we only imagine audiences for our worst moments. Gilovich thought of that too. So he reran it with shirts students were proud of. Cool faces. The overestimation did not move an inch. Good moments, bad moments, brilliant comments, embarrassing stumbles. In study after study, the pattern held. People even overestimated how much their comments in a group discussion stood out, positive and negative alike. Everything you do lands softer than you believe. That is the spotlight effect. The gap between the audience you feel and the audience that exists. A gap half a room wide. So if the audience is imaginary, why does every brain keep buying tickets to it? The answer is a shortcut you use every waking second. Here is the wiring fault. And I promise it is not stupidity. It is geometry. You have never experienced a single moment of your life from anywhere except the exact center of it. Your embarrassment plays in surround sound. Everyone else gets it as background noise, if they get it at all. Psychologists call it anchoring and adjustment. Guessing what others think of you, you start from your own view. The only view you have ever had. Your brain takes the full broadcast in your head and shrinks it toward what a stranger might catch. And it always stops shrinking too early. That leftover chunk, the part that never shrinks, is your imaginary audience. It is made entirely of you. And it gets stranger. The glitch leaks into what you think people can see inside you. Psychologists call this cousin the illusion of transparency. The certainty that your inner state is written on your face. In one study, people told small lies and were convinced the room could tell. The room, meanwhile, barely beat a coin flip at catching them. In another, nervous speakers swore their shaking hands were broadcasting to the back row. Audiences rated them far calmer than they rated themselves. Put those together and something almost funny appears. You are a terrible narrator of your own visibility. The least qualified witness, testifying with total confidence. The storm inside you leaks out at maybe a trickle. But you bill yourself for the whole flood. Here is the beautiful part. Telling speakers about the illusion of transparency before going on stage made them measurably better. Knowing the glitch loosened it. That means this video is not just an explanation. Statistically, it is an intervention. You now know something about your stage fright that measurably shrinks it. But your anxiety knows the counter-argument already. Fine, it says. People may not notice much. But when they do notice, they remember it forever. Forever. That is the claim your 2 a.m. brain runs on. So let us test it against how memory actually works. Try something with me right now. 10 seconds, and it proves the next act before I say a word. Think of yesterday. Name one stranger you saw. One face from a shop, a street, a screen, anything. If you are like almost everyone, you came up blank. Hundreds of people passed through your attention yesterday and left nothing. Hold that blankness. Each of those strangers was somebody's whole world that day. Somebody wore their Manilow shirt past you yesterday. You just proved you never saw it. Act 3. The memory math. Let us follow your embarrassing moment into someone else's head and watch what happens to it. In the 1880s, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus did something heroic and slightly insane. He spent years memorizing thousands of meaningless syllables, then testing how fast his own brain threw them away. The curve carries his name, and it is brutal. Within a day, most new detail was gone. Within a week, most of the rest had followed. And Ebbinghaus was trying to remember, drilling like an athlete. Nobody in that room was trying to remember you. You were not even their homework. Your worst moment enters a stranger's mind as what memory researchers would file under trivia. Unrehearsed, unconnected, unimportant. No rehearsal, because they have no reason to replay it, and memory without rehearsal is a photograph left in the rain. The same moment inside your head gets the opposite treatment. You replay it at 2 a.m. annotated. Direct remastered versions with worse meanings. That is the cruel asymmetry. You are the only person on Earth preserving your most embarrassing footage. Everyone else deleted the file by Friday. There is a bigger force underneath the forgetting, and it is not indifference, it is arithmetic. Attention is a budget. Every mind you fear is already full. Their deadline, their rent, their own 2 a.m. tape. Your shirt competes against their whole life and loses. Run the numbers on yourself. How many of yesterday's faces did you keep? You already know. 0. You are not cruel for forgetting them. You are human, and so are they, for forgetting you. Your anxiety has one move left. Fine, it whispers. Strangers forget. But what about the people who were there? The ones who laughed? The laughter was a half-second spike about a situation, not a verdict about a soul. They laughed at the banana peel, not the person who slipped. Ask anyone to list embarrassing things they saw others do. Watch them struggle past 2 or 3 across a lifetime and notice the punchline. Even those survivors are stories about moments. You almost never remember who. Only the slapstick stayed. The ledger, then. Noticed by half as many as feared. Held as trivia. Deleted in days. Faces stripped in years. That is the full paper trail. The last mystery flips this video. If the spotlight is imaginary, why does everyone feel it? The answer stands in every room you have ever entered. Every person in that room stars in a private movie where you are an extra. See that clearly? And social fear becomes a misunderstanding between projectors. Act 4, the mutual spotlight. Stay in that party with me, because everything hides in this one room. See the man rehearsing an opinion he will never say? He is not evaluating you. He is auditioning for himself. The woman who did not laugh at your joke? She is replaying an email from 4 p.m. and losing. The host who barely greeted you is counting chairs and dreading the ice running out. You are not on his list. Everyone you ever feared judging you was in that moment mostly grading their own performance. The prosecutor you imagined was a defendant in a different trial. Self-consciousness is universal because it is not a flaw. It is the factory setting of a mind locked inside one skull. But the loop has a second gear, and this is where it turns from a quirk into a trap. Self-monitoring makes you worse. Watch your own hands type and they stumble. Hear your own voice mid-sentence and it wavers. Inward attention is stolen attention. So the self-conscious mind creates the exact stumbles it was scanning for. It manufactures its own evidence. You fumble the handshake because you're supervising it. Then you file the fumble as proof they were right to stare. Round and round. Fear creates monitoring. Monitoring creates fumbles. Fumbles feed the fear. A perpetual motion machine running on nothing. And the actual people in the actual room notice almost none of it. They're busy spinning wheels of their own. Everyone around you is too worried about being judged to ever get around to judging you. The courtroom is empty because everyone is at their own trial. Once you see the mutual spotlight, certain social mysteries dissolve on contact. Why nobody mentioned your haircut? Not verdict. Bandwidth. Why your voice crack at the meeting died unremarked. Nobody was recording. Why the confident people you envy seem free. Most learned one belief early: nobody is watching, so why not? Their swagger is not information about them. It is information about the audience. There is none. The fear misfires. The audience is fiction. The cage was open all along. So what do you do with that on an ordinary Tuesday? Tools. Now, Before the tools, one honest complication because you have already thought of it. What about the internet? This glitch evolved for rooms of 30. Now you carry a pocket stage with a counter claiming to measure your audience. Unlike the party, the numbers feel like proof. Views, likes. Seen at 11:43, surely now people really are watching. Due to the feed, what Gilovich did to the shirt. Compare the audience you feel with the one that exists. Start with what a view actually is. A view is a pause measured in fractions of a second. A flick between two flicks. That is what the counter counts. The post you drafted 4 times, previewed, deleted, and reposted. It crossed most screens in less time than a single blink. Online, the asymmetry gets crueler. You will look at your own post 50 times. Almost everyone else will look once, for 1 second, forever. The feed never created a real audience. It built a mirror with a scoreboard. The spotlight effect supplies the crowd noise. Even the nightmare scenario obeys the math. Say something clumsy online and it feels carved in stone, time-stamped, permanent. But storage is not attention. The tablet stays. The eyes were gone by dinner time, chasing the next tablet. Yesterday's main character is a trivia question by Thursday. The internet does not hold grudges, it holds refresh buttons. Reputations are still real, but they are built by patterns over years, not one awkward Tuesday. A moment has no gravity. A pattern has all of it. So run the correction online too. Whatever audience you feel, have it. Then have the time you think it lasts. Twice. If anything, the feed deserves a bigger discount because a scroll is thinner attention than a glance ever was. Now the part you came for, whether you knew it or not. The toolkit, 4 tools, 1 glitch, no fluff. Each takes under a minute, each is free. Each gets easier every time you run it. Fair warning. Tool 4 is mildly embarrassing on purpose. You will want to skip it. It is the one that works. After the studies in the courtrooms, one small question remains. What will you do differently tomorrow, now the seats are empty? Tool 1, the 24-hour test. Tool 1, the 24-hour test. Next time your brain declares an emergency about how something looked, ask one question. Will a single person bring this up tomorrow? Not could they. Will they? Demand a name. Almost every time your brain comes back empty-handed and your chest physically unclenches. Run it every time. It gets faster. Tool 2, the spotlight audit. Once a week, list every embarrassing thing you saw anyone else do in 7 days. The list stays nearly empty. Every blank line is data. Their stumbles are invisible to you. Yours are invisible to them. Tool 3, aim the camera outward. In any moment of self-consciousness, you are the camera operator. So change the shot. Get intensely curious about the other person, their story, their worries. Self-consciousness cannot survive curiosity. 1 spotlight per mind, and you just pointed yours away. Bonus. This is also the entire secret of being charming. People rarely remember what you said. They remember being listened to. Tool 4, the one you will want to skip. Deliberate, tiny, harmless embarrassment. On purpose, on a schedule. Wear the loud shirt, ask the obvious question. Sing 1 bar in the supermarket aisle. Small, legal, harmless, survivable. Exposure with a rigged outcome, you already know what happens. Nothing. Your nervous system does not update on essays. It updates on evidence. Give it some. 1 experiment a week, 1 metric. How long did the fear last before it got bored? Watch it collapse in a month. Now the honest fine print. I promised accuracy, not a pep talk. The spotlight effect is an overestimate, not a hallucination. People who love you do think about you. Bosses do notice patterns. The audience is smaller than you feel, not zero. If social fear is not a hum but a wall canceling plans and shrinking your world, no video can fix that. Talking to a professional is not defeat, it is tool 5, built for exactly when tools 1 through 4 are not enough. Everyone else, the tools stand, test it, audit it, aim it, and weekly poke the ghost to prove it is a ghost. 20 minutes of psychology, 3 lines. The prison was painted on, the guards were actors you hired, and the audience never once bought a ticket. Tomorrow you walk into a room, a street, an office, a feed. This time you know. Nobody there is thinking about you the way you feared. The seats you spent years performing for are empty. The tape only ever played in one cinema. You own it, you can close it. Not a loss. The most liberating fact psychology ever measured. You were never on trial. You were free the entire time and nobody told you. So wear the shirt, ask the question, start the thing. Post it, say it, try it. Badly at first, in front of the whole indifferent world. Tonight, when the 2 a.m. tape tries to roll, you know the audience. One person. Be kinder to them. They have watched alone for years. Nobody is thinking about you. That was never an insult, it was the key. The next video breaks an even bigger belief. See you in it.